Ladies and gentlemen, we tend to think about electric mobility revolution mostly in terms of battery electric vehicles powered by energy stored on board. But in fact, electric vehicle is a much wider category that embraces also vehicles powered by electricity produced in fuel cell from hydrogen.
Yes, so some key facts about hydrogen right now in Poland. So first of all, surprisingly, Poland is currently the 5th largest producer of hydrogen in the world. But unfortunately, our hydrogen is not clean and green as we wish to produce them. So basically, we can distinguish 3 different types of hydrogen. First of all, green hydrogen produced from green energy. Second is blue hydrogen, some emissions during the produce of this, but still we can prefer these 2 types of hydrogen, green and blue. And last type of hydrogen is gray hydrogen produced during the industrial process in Grupa Azoty, for example, right now in Poland, or Lotos. But we would like to emphasize you that this hydrogen in the context of decarbonization of the economy is important to produce and use in Poland the green hydrogen. And so some key numbers about hydrogen. So first of all, the numbers, 2 million, that's the number of hydrogen cars that can be used globally by 2030. It's the estimation from International Energy Agency. So maybe not so high, but pretty impressive. And what about the infrastructure of the hydrogen? So the estimation cost of building a hydrogen refueling station is around $2 million. So it's pretty expensive right now, but we hope that this cost should decline in the future.
So electric vehicles market is at the moment absolutely dominated by battery electric vehicles. There are around 5 million battery electric vehicles registered worldwide last year. To compare with the fuel cell electric vehicles, last year only 11,200 of those vehicles were registered globally. So the number is 500 times smaller. But on the other hand, the sales of fuel cell electric vehicles are growing quickly. In 2018, a number of fuel cell vehicles grew by 56% when compared to 2007. So as we can see, the market is slowly but gathering momentum. And the main reason why battery electric vehicles are still more popular than fuel cell electric vehicles are 2 intertwined. First of all, the most obvious is price. Just to compare, for example, Tesla Model 3, right now the most popular battery electric vehicle, at least in the United States, its price starts at $39,000. The fuel cell electric vehicle's price is around $20,000 more expensive. And what is more, the differences increase when we compare total cost of ownership, mostly because of the price of the fuel. Again, in the US, the most popular price of 1 kilogram of hydrogen that is sufficient to drive a fuel cell electric vehicle for approximately 100 kilometers is $14. And again, to compare it with battery electric vehicle, to charge a battery in such a vehicle to drive for 100 kilometers, it costs approximately $3 in the US. So the difference is huge right now, but as you can see, the prices of these vehicles are foreseen to converge in the future, and just for two reasons again. As I said, like the fuel cell electric vehicles are at the very early stage of development, so the sole economies of scale can bring down costs by 70% in terms of cost of production of fuel cell. And then again, the increasing rate of use of hydrogen refilling stations may also reduce the price of kilogram of hydrogen even by $13. And what is more, according to some estimates, by 2030, battery electric vehicles, powertrain for battery electric vehicles will be less expensive than fuel cell, only to the border of 55 kilowatt hours of capacity. Above this border, fuel cell powertrains are estimated to be cheaper by 2030.
Yeah, so because now we showed you a lot of numbers, a lot of key facts and estimations, but maybe we should think about the hydrogen vehicles' advantages. So first of all, when you compare, let's say, classical electric vehicles with hydrogen vehicles, so first of all, we think that higher energy density is the key advantage because it's enabling longer driving range, first part. Secondly, easy meeting with high power requirements from high-duty vehicles. Second point, easily adaptation of existing infrastructure. Because when we think about user experience during the usage of refueling station, EV and hydrogen, so hydrogen is almost the same as we use the gasoline right now. So short time of refueling for us is crucial point because it takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes, yeah,
Something
and
like that.
you can continue your drive. So yeah. So yeah. So the question is, shall hydrogen vehicles can compete with classical electric vehicles? Not necessarily. We think that the question is how to balance these types of technology, and we think that we can use more easily electric vehicles in the city with short period of transport, let's say, whereas we can use hydrogen to transport, for example, between two cities, or transport not people but stories, right? So yeah. So it's really important to not to compare electric vehicles and hydrogen because we think that we can develop those two technologies in the same way, right?
So yeah, as Maciej said, like the future market segmentation may look like all of us will have our battery electric vehicles in our garages for daily use. But then most of the buses, trucks, any heavy-duty vehicles probably will be powered by hydrogen in fuel cells. And there is also another important aspect in Polish context, because fuel cell electric vehicles potentially offer a faster way to decarbonize transport sector in Poland. And there is a pressing need to do that because between 1990 and 2016, greenhouse gas emissions from transport sector increased in Poland in the fastest pace in the whole European Union. It increased by 62.4%. And taking into account Polish energy mix, which is dominated by coal and lignite by around 80%, a switch to battery electric vehicles not necessarily help us a lot in cutting greenhouse gas emissions. In this case, fuel cell electric vehicles, even powered by this dirty type of hydrogen, gray hydrogen that Maciej was talking about, it potentially offer a faster way to cut emissions in our transport sector.
Okay, so to summarize, key recommendation. Of course, we made a solid research, and we would like to invite you to check our report for Czysta Gospodarka, Czysta Research, about the future of the hydrogen in mobility. But key recommendation, first of all, we think that Polish public sector should develop and create and develop hydrogen strategy for developing hydrogen technologies in Poland, and a lot of countries in Europe as well in States or in Asia like Japan just finish this strategy, so it's a good momentum to prepare our own Polish strategy and started to create the future. Second aspect is we need to adjust regulatory framework for developing hydrogen easily and quickly, because right now let's say hydrogen is not discriminate, but it can right now it's not too easy to start run the business in the hydrogen. Of course, the infrastructure always is a crucial part of the market. So in our report, we analyze how to develop infrastructure for hydrogen accurately, not too fast and not too slow. Of course, the next recommendation is to build international alliances and strategic cooperation, because we believe that using international know-how and experience can be really fruitful for a Polish economy in the hydrogen context. And the most important thing, innovation. We should accelerate public spending on hydrogen, because right now there is a lot of things that we can invent in the hydrogen market. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for being with us. It's a great pleasure to discuss with you and present our opinion and our point of view about the hydrogen. And if you would like to check our recommendation or our research in more detailed way, so please check the report in Czysta Gospodarka. Thank you very much.
Thank you.